Hi, Kevlyn. Welcome to the Retail Heart Podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm super excited. We met originally at the first UPP event, and you were on stage speaking about your product. And then since then, I think I've seen you at almost all of the gift shows over the season.
Yeah, I definitely hit those gift shows hard once I decided to go into wholesale.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for you to tell your story because I think it's so good. So let's start off with give everyone a little introduction and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your brand.
Okay, I'm Kevlyn. I'm the founder, owner, all the hats of Festive Gal. And I actually used to be a high school art teacher. And Festive Gal was just like a for fun side project. And it just, started off small on Etsy and then kept growing and growing and growing. And my school district had gone on strike in 2019. I don't know if you remember, but in 2019, it was like all across the nation, just like so many teachers going on strike. And it really kind of hurt my soul going on strike. And it was just sad. And I looked at the negotiations and my salary, and I was like, I don't think I can be a teacher like as a long-term career. And so I kind of knew that I wanted to make my exit in education, and I just didn't quite know what that was going to be. And I had, Festive Gal just kind of putting along on Etsy, doing pretty well. And then it actually surpassed my teacher salary.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So then it was a kind of an easy no-brainer. I was like, okay, well, I want to quit teaching, and Festive Gal's doing pretty good. So why don't I just quit and like go all in and see how this goes? So that was at the end of the school year in 2019. And then, 8 months later, the lockdown happened. And I was like, oh my God, I own a party brand and we are all stuck at home. Like, what am I going to do? So COVID was just a really interesting time for my business because I had to get really creative. I was determined to like make it work and be successful. So I kind of pivoted all my products to be just really fun for COVID time. So at the time I was selling predominantly party headbands, and, during COVID, everybody was celebrating their birthdays on Zoom. And you know what you can see on Zoom? From the neck up. So a party headband was like the perfect accessory to celebrate a birthday during those times. And so like my business just actually exploded during COVID in a good way. And I felt really fortunate for that. But I was like, is this a fluke? Is this for real? Is this going to like continue? And, here we are in 2023, and obviously nobody's buying silly, coronavirus themed products anymore, but we're, doing really strong. And I've got 5 employees now in a 3,200 square foot warehouse.
Oh, so I want to go back to when you first started the creation of these, because I think you told the story at UPP. I'd love everyone to hear how this headband or crown came to be.
Yeah. So I'm just like a really fun, festive person, like in my day-to-day life, right? Like today I'm wearing a t-shirt or whatever, but I'm the type of person, like if you're having a themed party, like I'm going to show up dressed to the T head to toe. It's my outfit might not even be cute, but it'll be like so over the top. And that's kind of just like always been my vibe. So I was gonna attend an ugly Christmas sweater party, and I wanted to be like the most festive Christmas person there. And I just like had this vision. I was like, I want to have a crazy headband with like an elf and a present and like Christmas ornaments. And I just like went to the craft store, bought all of this crazy craft supplies, and just hot glued this mess of just Christmas craziness on my head. And it was just like, it was a very elaborate Christmas headpiece. And I wore it to the Christmas party. Everybody loved it. It was a big hit. And I was like, that was really fun. I want to make more of those. And, during that time, I think I had a week off from teaching because it was over Thanksgiving break. And so I went back to the craft store, spent a couple $100s, bought a ton of just random Christmas supplies. And I made like 20 or 30 headbands, photographed them, opened up an Etsy shop, like literally just went from like A to Z in a whole week.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I was like selling Christmas headbands on Etsy. And, by the time Christmas season was over, I had sold all of them. And I was like, well, that was really fun. I guess I like have an Etsy shop now. Like, what else should I make? And so it just kind of continued to grow and develop, and making super elaborate headpieces wasn't very like didn't make sense like labor wise. They were just so much work. So that's how we've ended up with sort of like the party headband that we have today.
So when you how long did it take? Do you have any of the original ones that for people that are watching YouTube, they can say, please say
hold on.
Come on.
I don't. I didn't think about that.
I should have asked you to hunt one down because I would love to see how elaborate these are.
Yeah, I should have that like prepared for whenever I do an interview with someone to be like, oh, and here one is.
It's free.
Yeah, they're pretty ridiculous.
What was the time to create one?
Oh, those crazy hot glued Christmas ones. I don't know. Over an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. It kind of just depends.
I got to give it to you because I've worked with hot glue guns, and I have scars still on my fingers from where too much comes out, and lands, and you're like, oh my God, and you tear it off, and then you realize you just tore your skin off, and you should have just let it dry so you could peel.
So, okay, this is kind of a crazy story, but like I literally think that I have not as much feeling in my fingertips as normal people, because when I was like 10, I was doing a craft project it was like a hot glue, like pot. It was like a little pot. So you could like dip your material into the little hot glue pot and then like stick it on whatever you were working on. Why my mother at 10 years old, like let me use this like hot glue pot, I don't know. But I knocked it over onto the carpet and I panicked and I tried to scoop up the hot glue with my hands.
God,
so when I was like 10, I had like second-degree burns on like all the tips of my finger. I like blisters on every single fingertip. And I just remember like watching TV and just like having my hands in like ice water.
Oh my God. So you've done like this kind of creative stuff all the time.
Yeah. My whole family is like super creative. So it literally comes from not only my mother, but like her mother. Like my grandma and grandpa were both super, super creative. So it's just like, it's in the family.
Love that. My mom, I say that's why I have the job I do, because my mom was always the teacher's assistant or teacher mom, the mom of the class. And, she did the little egg cartons with little started like little plants and half egg cups. And I still have, and it's still my favorite ornament, is a Christmas ornament of Santa made out of a toilet paper roll with the felt that's all glued on and his little face painted on thing. It's still my favorite, but that I swear that's where it started, was with my mom and these projects that she used to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think like fostering creativity at a young age, like, and just it's what I like to do. Like when people are like, "What do you like to do for fun?" I'm like, I like to be creative for fun, whether that's making fun things for my business or, making fun things for like my baby's like nursery or whatever.
What were you teaching? Were they elementary school kids or were they?
So I got my teaching credential for kindergarten through 12th grade. So I actually taught everybody over the 3 years that I was in the classroom. Like my first job was K through 5th grade. And then I changed schools. And then that job was middle school through high school. And then I was like, get me out of here. Middle schoolers are the worst. And so then I ended up teaching just specifically high school. And when I got the job at the high school, I ended up being a digital art teacher. So I got to teach graphic design and digital photography, which was really fun. And that comes in handy like all the time now in my business.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about you taking, how many like headbands were you selling? What's an average of what your Etsy, not numbers as far as dollars, but like units?
Oh, you mean like when I decided to go full time, or
when we were in a pandemic, like what did like unit wise, what did that look like?
Oh my God. It was okay, like pandemic times, like, right, like April and May, pretty much those 2 months. Remember, we were like all on lockdown. I mean, it was insane. I will tell you, I think I had $100,000 a month.
Wow.
I am not shitting you. I think that April, the first month of that April when we were all on lockdown, I think I sold $100,000 worth of headbands, which is like insane. And I had no one to help me. It was like my family, because you can't, like hire people, because it was like everyone was so freaked out about COVID. So it was like my dad was at the kitchen table, like packaging orders, and like my mom and I are like hot gluing them. Like it was it was like hands on deck for probably like a solid, 8 weeks. And we were like, after a while, like, your phone goes like cha-ching, cha-ching, like every time you get an order. And I remember my mom got like so stressed out. She was like, oh my God, not another cha-ching, like turn it off. And I was like, Mom, like this is exactly what we wanted. Like literally, I went from no sales, freaking out, thinking that I wasn't going to be able to like help pay the mortgage with my husband, to now like we have more orders than we know what to do with. And I looked at her and I said, every time the phone goes cha-ching, we are going to say hooray. And she was like, okay. Hooray. So I kid you not, like to this day, like whenever my phone goes cha-ching, like I might be in like the middle of an email or whatever, and my phone goes cha-ching, I go, hooray. And then I just like keep doing whatever I'm saying.
I love that. Well, sorry.
Oh, I just never want to not like be grateful for the sale. Like, even if it might be stressful because you have too many, it's like, just, always say hooray for that cha-ching.
It's kind of like I compare it to, everyone complains obviously about taxes, and I can't believe I have to pay taxes. And I think it's Tony Robbins or Brenda Burchard that says you have to pay them, but you have to be grateful in the sense that if you're paying a large amount of taxes, you may not like it, but that means you did a large amount of business, and
you're making money.
There's a gratification in that, and that's just the way it is. But that is because you had a successful year. And I always try. I just got off the phone my account right now. I always try and keep that saying in my head, because it's true. And you may be overwhelmed, but it's like, oh my God, that is a great thing to be overwhelmed about.
Yeah. And I mean, I will tell you, I have yet to have a month of selling that many headbands, like strictly ever again. Like it was such a fluke, I guess.
Well, I think COVID and I think COVID had a lot of surprises, and for sure,
yeah,
the shock of being closed is one thing, but then for the retailers that had a chance to recoup all of that, retailers have had sales like they've never had before for the last, it started to slow up now, but, it was like monopoly money. It's like all these people had all this extra money because they got all these, payouts and whatnot. And that's all gone away now, and reality is back. And I think that a lot of retailers now are like, oh shit, like our sales are so down. It's like your sales aren't down. I mean, they're down because it was monopoly money, but you really have to compare things to 2019 to really think you're down, because it was this beautiful gift that this shitty time gave us of these like huge, crazy sales, but there was going to be an end, and we're in it now. So
yeah, for sure.
Before we jump to now, I want to ask you about how, because I think a lot of people open online stores, but it's like, I talked to somebody and she was like, you open an online store, and how do you get it out in front of people in order to get the order? So how did you capitalize on that, or were the keywords or what? Because I'm not an Etsy girl, so I'm not completely sure on how that works. So kind of give everyone a little background on how that worked.
Yeah. So now, I sell on a couple different platforms. So I'm on Etsy. I have my own Shopify website, and I sell wholesale on Faire. And being diversified in that way just makes me feel like I've got a little bit more control in case like one platform does bad, then I can make up for it on the other ones. Definitely like bringing traffic to just a Shopify website is hard, because I always always picture my little website as like an itty bitty star in the universe. Like nobody knows that it's there. Nobody's going to find you unless you tell people that you're there, or unless you get people in the universe to like come to your little star. And so, with Shopify, there's so many different techniques, but like working with affiliates and building your email list and running ads. And I mean, you've heard all the things. And I know enough about like Facebook ads to be dangerous. Not an expert on it, but I mean, I'll tell you, like when I run ads, it works. And when I work with affiliates, it works.
That's great. And we had an affiliate. I'm drawing a blank on her name. She was one of the speakers at UPP about affiliates. And I think that a lot of people forget that that's a really important tool.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like the rules with affiliates and influencers, it's always changing, because it's like everybody wants to be an influencer, right? And then, you get people that have a huge following and they tell you something crazy, like it's $5,000 for a grid post. And I'm just like, that's a shit ton of product that you need to like, that needs to sell for me to even like recoup that $5,000 or whatever. And especially with like the algorithm changing and like posts not really being seen, I just kind of feel like now it's a different game in regards to like working with affiliates and trying to get your products out there using like influencers, or, I've even noticed like sometimes people that have small followings are the best ones.
Usually that tends to be, I think, because of word of mouth. I mean, it's like, I know when I've talked about, there's a book stand that I talked about that I loved I talked about it on TikTok, and I don't know if I talked about it on my Instagram, but everyone's like, send us the link. So I just, put up where you can get it on Amazon, and there's like, Amazon was totally out of it. And then each Michaels that are within my area started selling out of it. And someone's like, see, you are an influencer. I'm not really, but it's nice to know that, that you can with the small, because my following small, like, it's compared to those influencers that have hundreds of thousands of people. But I sometimes feel like it's more genuine. It's more word of mouth. It's more, I feel like people trust people they know and they follow genuinely versus, the over made up pretty girl in the perfect atmosphere. I feel like that, they do sell, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the smaller people that you work with definitely have an influence on their own communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just because people have a large following doesn't even mean that they know how to make content that sells, which is, other things that I've noticed, like, I'll just keep talking about the party crown, but like, I can't tell you how many party crowns I've sent to influencers and they'll post about it and it will be backwards. I'm like, girl, I know you're like filming on selfie mode. That's fine. But like, put it into your editing app and just like switch the video so that you can read it. Like, common sense.
So do they not send you, when you work with influencers, do they not send you like a proof, like this is how I'm going to present it? Or they just put it out there and do a rookie mistake like that?
Well, if I'm working with someone that I'm like paying, then I've had people like send me like, this is what I'm thinking about posting or whatever. But, if it's just kind of like gifting or whatever, like beggars can't be choosers. Like, I'm not going to be like, can you redo that? I gave you that for free and you're doing this for free. Like, I'm not going to complain.
So do you find working with influencers somewhat valuable? Because I know one of my accounts, we had them on the podcast a while back, Lit Concept. They're a family-owned furniture antique business, and they've worked with a lot of, the wife, Dina, is the marketing person, and she's worked with like a lot of really big influencers that, they're gifting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of antiques, giving them for their house, and they're filming every day in their house. Like, I forget who the influencer is, but she does a lot of her selfie videos talking in a mirror is their mirror. So it's it's really become like, because it's introducing for them antiques to a generation of people that never really go into like antique stores, like because they took over his dad's store, which has been in business for 40 years. And I'm sure antique stores are the same. A lot of the places where the old way was stack it high and watch you fly, where it's like, you had 16 vintage dressers stacked on top of each other. And it was just a maze of vintage furniture. And it wasn't all finessed and it wasn't vignetted. And the younger generation never really shopped or don't know those type of antique stores. So it's kind of giving this generation of people that have never really seen or been in the store all new eyes on their product. And it's really interesting how well it's doing for them.
That sounds like a really smart strategy that they're executing. Good for them.
Are you utilizing influencers and paid influencers? And are you getting good responses from most of them or some of them? Or do you recommend it? Or
yeah, I mean, my biggest struggle is like you kind of have to cast a big net, like send a lot of emails, send a lot of Instagram messages, and just like wait and see who responds back. And, it's hard to keep track. You got to have like a spreadsheet and then ask like, okay, well, what products do you want me to send you? What's your mailing address? It's like a part-time job. So I go through phases of like, really hitting the ground hard, like trying to find people to work with. And I've also even tried like hiring a VA to help, and like that's gone pretty well. But I would love if I could just like have like someone who works for me on a consistent basis who could just do like influencer outreach and just help me like even maintain those relationships. Like a lot of these girls that I work with, like they're so sweet, and I want to comment on their content, and I want to support them as like a content creator. And I have a hard time even just like keeping up with my own social media.
Yeah.
But if you find somebody who like has a legit audience that is engaged and they make, quality content, and your product is a good fit for the type of people that they're speaking to, like it usually goes pretty well. And I am very, very picky if I am actually going to like pay for a paid post. So a lot of the time, my strategy has been like, hey, I'll send you some product. I would love for you to try it out, share about it. And I also have an affiliate program like on my website where you can have your own like affiliate link to share. So it's like, if you make sales with your link, like I'll pay you. And for the most part, like people are either like, oh my God, that sounds great. Or they're like, thanks, but no thanks. And the people who say thanks, but no thanks, I'm like, okay, no problem. Like on to the next. Like I'm not going to take it personally. But I think
advice.
I think having, having at least like an affiliate link to give them is fair, because they're doing something for you, right? Like they're talking about your product and sharing about it. So at least they can like get some kind of kickback for whoever like clicks the link and like makes a purchase.
I love that. Now I'm going to ask you now, because it's becoming a very big thing, is TikTok Shop.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about like, so I had an influencer agency on, it hasn't aired yet, but she's what TikTok is creating and what TikTok is going to become will most likely outsell Amazon at some point, because it is all influencer driven. And she was saying, because her husband's in the CBD business and they've built up his social media following. So he went on as a quote flash sale, because she goes, you could do flash sales if you, as a retailer or a wholesaler, if you only have X amount left, you can go on as a flash sale. And she goes, it's the best way for you to clear, because TikTok is pushing retailers and wholesalers out into the algorithm. That's what they want. So they're pushing that content out. And her husband did $20,000 in a day. One day.
Wow. Wow.
Like, for yourself because you have your own retail as well as wholesale, but it's like, I think about what that platform and the opportunities for people are going to be amazing. And are you on there yet?
Oh yeah. I feel like TikTok and TikTok Shop, it's like the wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are like no rules. We're all figuring it out. So let me show you. I will grab this. So I did get on TikTok Shop, and I started selling these, like, it's like a little name tag that goes on your, oh, it doesn't fit this style cup. Well, it fits in the lid of your Stanley tumbler. So this size tag is not the right size tag for this cup, but you get the gist. It fits in the lid. Yep. So anyways, I like uploaded this onto my TikTok Shop, and TikTok is not set up for like personalization like Etsy is. So the only place that you can like leave your name, like if you wanted to buy this little name tag, is in the notes at checkout. And it's just not clear. And I even had like a graphic, like if you're swiping through the graphics, I literally had like a graphic on the product page, like leave your name in the notes at checkout. And so I posted some videos. They started to gain traction. The one video got like 100,000 views, and wow. The sales started. Yeah, and like the sales started to come in, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun." Okay. And then I had to learn how the heck to process orders on TikTok Shop. It's like it's a whole new beast, right? And like, how do I print shipping labels? Like, how does this go down? And so it's kind of like building the airplane in the air, like while we were already really busy with orders. So then I made a video. Is I was super frustrated that people were buying this product. I only had 3 days to ship it because TikTok wants you to ship it within 3 days.
Well, people today.
What?
Yours is all like custom made because of the name.
Yeah, custom made. And so like I only had 3 days to make it. People weren't putting their name. So then I was like sending TikTok messages, trying to like, tie up all my loose ends, like, okay, this order gets this name or whatever. So then I made a video literally complaining about like how many orders I had to cancel. And like, it was like on a whim, like this video, I just recorded it really quick. And I was like, I had like a pile of like invoices, and I was like, these are all the TikTok invoices that I have to cancel. I'm like, let me tell you why. And that video hit 1 million views.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
and it's just really funny because it's me kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't quite put me in the best light because I kind of look like a brat because I'm like complaining about having to cancel orders. But I made like $9,000 on TikTok in 5 days.
Yeah, I think that I think that it's so new that I think that people. I love that you're in it on the ground floor, because I think right now, like, it's kind of like, I hate to say it, there's still a lot of retailers and wholesalers will not go live or do stories because they don't want to be in front of the camera and they're embarrassed. And it's like for those who are not jumping on now, it is going to be harder and harder to be able to stand out the bigger it gets. And it's you have to get out of your own way and just go, I'm going to do it. And we're going to figure it out as we do. But I think so many people are petrified of both going on camera, but as well as like, I don't know how to do it. And they just like get frozen in the whole process.
I had to take a break. Like we went crazy viral. We had all these orders. Like I said, we still weren't like super streamlined on processing orders through TikTok Shop. So it was like kind of a shit show. But we got through it. And then like, I just needed a break. So I actually like deactivated all of the products in my TikTok Shop for a while. Cause I was like, I just like need to take a breath. And I was like a little sketched out about TikTok paying me. I was like, you hear horror stories, and I'm in like the TikTok sellers Facebook group, and people are like, making posts about like their payouts being delayed and their payouts not adding up properly. And I was like, okay, I just shipped a shit ton of products. And this is a platform I've never sold on before. It's a Chinese-owned company. Like, I was a little sketched out. So I actually, I deactivated all my products. We just took a break from TikTok, and I just kept track of my bank account. And I was like, okay, are the deposits coming in? Because they don't pay you until 2 weeks after something is marked as delivered. Oh. So it's like a pretty big delay. But I will say that at this point, TikTok has paid me all the money that they owe me. So I'm like ready to sort of like dive back in again. But I haven't posted a video in a couple weeks. And it's just really weird because the videos that I have posted, they're getting like residual views
Yeah.
And it's like my followers are like growing every day, and I haven't even posted a video in a couple of weeks. I'm like, what is this magic? Like, Instagram, can you please do this? This is so nice.
People who have put up videos and then, they'll go back and check numbers, and it's like, it doesn't look like it got as many hits. And then you look at the reaches, and it's like, they had somebody was like, had like 1 million hits on something. And she was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, it's, I have to say, like, it's super exciting to see happen as in real time, because it's like, it is the Wild West. That's, I think, one of the things she had said, that it's like, and that's what I think, like, get in now and do it now, because this is the best time to be involved in something like that. As big of a pain in the ass as it may be, but I think that this is always the best time you want to get on something in the ground level and be there. And like, when it is boom, you've been there for however long.
Yeah, I'm having FOMO now, so I need to get back in it and put some new products into my TikTok shop and make some videos. But I just appreciate that TikTok is so much less polished than Instagram. And I also feel like Instagram, I'm just like screaming into a void. Like, you post something and the Zuckerberg will show it to like 200 people, and you're like, what the heck? Like, I have like 12,000 followers. So I just have felt very like discouraged with Instagram for a long time. And so I just kind of, I don't know, it's fun to like dive into TikTok and a new platform. And I'm just like trying to have fun with it. And like, people on TikTok, like commenters, they are savage. Like, they are mean.
I've heard it's like the trolls and the savage. Like, it's like, you have to have pretty thick skin. It's like, somebody said, oh my God, they were commenting on my weight and my makeup. And like, I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to handle that.
It's insane. And I'm like, good thing I used to be like a high school teacher, and I'm used to like teenagers being sassy at me, because clearly this is like, a teenager in the comments just being a jerk. But yeah, no, you know what? I don't even like, for the most part, I just delete and block, because I'm like, for the 30 seconds it would probably take me to respond, like being like, why are you so mean? It's not even like worth it. But yeah, it's crazy the things people say. And I'm just like, what, oh, welcome to my block party. You're invited to my block party. I'm just going to block you. Like, you want to say something?
No, that block party. The trolls and I mean, touch wood, I have not had much of it, but I've got somebody that reached out to me and was like, question, like, what do you do when you have these trolls saying these things to you? I'm like, just ignore it, because they literally they have nothing else they're doing. And if you look at who else they're following or whatever, like, that's literally their whole job, like, is just sitting wherever under a bridge somewhere, being a troll, and just literally just being mean. And it's like, why? Like, I do not understand that. It's like, instead of like, don't take it personally. Don't like, I forget, somebody's had a couple good memes about it, but it's, just don't respond, because that's literally what they want. And then, that's when other people jump on. It's like, really? Like, because I gotten into an internet conversation with somebody because I made a comment on something, and it was like, she jumped on me and then like 20 other people. And it was like, really? Really? Like, so, and that's when I like back out and start deleting my own comments and stuff like that. Let's your wholesale business, how you made the jump from Etsy and doing your own retail space. How did you launch your wholesale brand, and talk to me about that, and then bring us up to you doing shows now?
Okay, so I didn't know anything about wholesale, and I ended up attending the Las Vegas market, like spring of 2021, mostly because I wanted to go as a buyer, thinking like, oh, I could buy some products and I could sell them. That was my mindset. And I'm just exploring Las Vegas market, and I walk into this showroom called the Best of Show showroom, and I see this brand called Fun Club. And I follow Fun Club on Instagram, and she makes like super, super cute products. And so me being the extrovert that I am, I like walked up to her and I was like, hi, like, I love your brand. I follow you on Instagram. Like, you make the cutest stuff. And I just introduced myself, and her name's Kevlyn. And to make a long story short, me and Kevlyn really hit it off. And I was just like so impressed by her. And, the fact she actually started on Etsy and then she got into wholesale. And I was like, oh my God, your story is just like so inspiring. Like, maybe I'll be in a showroom someday. And she was like, here's my email. Like, email me if you have any questions about literally anything business related. And I was like, I have all the questions. Like, yes, I will take you up on that. And so she did that. We had like a couple of Zoom calls where I literally would have like a notebook and I'd be like, okay, I want to ask you about this. I want to ask you about that. And I was super interested in wholesale and trade shows after I learned more about it from her. And she made an introduction for the Best of Show showroom and recommended Festive Gal. And I got in. And I had never done a trade show before. And the fact that I had, basically got into a showroom rather than having to do the temporaries was like pretty rare. And I was really freaked out. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to handle this. I don't think I can afford this. Like, what if nobody orders from me? And just imposter syndrome, basically. But I did it, and I did my first trade show in Atlanta the summer of 2021. Like, I think I had like 6 or 8 weeks to even prepare. Like, I redesigned my packaging. I had to design my booth. Like, I just needed to make sure all my ducks were in a row. And it was really stressful. And that show went super well. And then 2 weeks later was the Las Vegas show. And Best of Show happens to have a showroom in Vegas. And so I said, hey, can I pay for a space in Vegas? Like, I want to keep going. And she was like, okay. So then my brand was represented in Atlanta and in Vegas. And I did both of those showrooms for a couple years. And then I even added on Dallas market. So I was just like hitting the trade show circuit hard. And then I got pregnant and I realized, oh my God, I'm looking at the calendar and I'm like, summer of 2022, I had 3 back-to-back trade shows and I was going to be 7 months pregnant.
Oh my God.
I did it. Yeah.
Do you, because I know like showrooms I work with, they do expect the manufacturer to be there X amount of time so they can explain the product and be an additional salesperson. Are you there the whole show, or I've talked about it a lot on the podcast, so everyone's heard of it. Being a rep or being in a showroom or even a temporary showroom, it is a lot of work. Like it's the reps. I feel for the reps and the showroom manufacturers that are there because it's all day. And like, I know there's times where you see people and they're just chatting it up and it's like, everyone's like but then there's a lot of time in there where there's not anyone, you're fucking just standing there. It's like that. And to be 7 months pregnant and like, I don't know how you did that. Kudos to you.
I don't know how I did that either, but I've actually never worked with reps. So my entire wholesale business, like, I'm going to take credit for it. Like, I built that. So I've just utilized sorry, the sun is like coming in weird with my window. I've just utilized fair, and I've utilized like attending trade shows and growing my retailer base that way. So in between shows, like, I've never had reps, selling my brand in between. It's just been me like sending emails and doing whatever I can, like, virtually. And shows they're a lot of work. And I think that summer being super pregnant, she like destroyed me. So I did a show. So basically I did my last show this summer. I pulled out of Vegas. And so in January, I only did Atlanta. And then this summer, I only did Atlanta. And I was like, you know what? I think I need a break. Like, I think this Atlanta show was like my 11th or 12th trade show over the course of, a year and a half, 2 years. With show on that.
So gnarly. Like, show season is it's insane to me But the manufacturer end of it is a whole other timeline of getting things ready, like, the product development and then shooting it and then the catalog and everything that goes into because I think a lot of times we as buyers, we go and it's like, you don't really think about how much it takes to get a product to that show and displayed and designed and like the hours of that prep. And then you got to go and stand in the booth. And it's like, it's a lot to get the product to the buyers to be able to see it standing there at the show.
I like being there and I like meeting retailers and I like talking about my products. And usually like my booths were like pink and fun and colorful. And I always had like really fun, colorful, sparkly outfits.
You did.
Pretty much like if my vibe attracted a retailer, then I was going to like vibe with that retailer. I'd be like, oh, we're friends. Like, yeah, we like each other. So it was really fun. I liked it, but it was like, yeah, the hours standing on your feet. It's like so hard.
Oh my God. So tell everyone a little bit about what is on the line, because we know you have headbands. Have you expanded the line from headbands to other products? So talk a little bit about the products that are available.
Okay. Yeah. I've expanded wholesale wise. I started selling these really cute like felt party pennants that are really fun. I launched them for game day and like all of the team colors. I've got them for Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. They're super cute. Like a little photo prop for like kids to wear. Like you put it in a floral arrangement and like we're sewing those. Like they are made in the USA. Once again, I should have one by me right now, but I can go run to the other room. And then I have an industrial laser machine. And so we've just been developing like a lot more products utilizing that. So I sell cake toppers. I sell super cute like cocktail drink stirrers. So still pretty much the bulk of my line that I'm selling wholesale is all made in the USA. That's partly just because like I haven't really had, I guess, like the bravery to really invest in that large chunk of inventory to be made overseas.
Yeah.
But it works out for right now. And I feel like, if I get that big order that I'm like, oh, I cannot fulfill this like in the US, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But for right now, it's working out. Like I've got 5 girls who work for me here in house. And then I've got a lot of 1099 contractors that help make my products at home.
That's fantastic. I love that. I think that, keeping it in the US is incredibly important for all obvious reasons. But have you had any pushback on, because obviously when you're producing something in China, it's a lot less money. Do you have pushback from people that are like, oh, I love it, but it's so expensive? And it's like, I always tell people, anything that's made in the US is going to cost more than when it's in China. And it's like, if anything that has taught us is that to buy locally, to buy California or United States goods, because, the pandemic could happen again. And the fact that it is made in the US, it is going to cost more than in China. And is that a hard message? Do you have that pushback or no?
I mean, I just think like, if the pricing doesn't work for your store, then it doesn't work for your store. Like I think about how many candles are sold. It's like you can buy a candle for $5. You can buy a candle for like $60. Like there is a buyer that's going to buy that product at all the different like price points. And it just cracks me up. Like when we're talking about like a party headband, and I wholesale them for $6.50. And if you want to double it, you can retail them for $13. I personally retail them for $14.99. And
okay, I'd love that you price them higher, because one of the things that comes up a lot is that manufacturers put the same item on their website and actually either do it keystone or below keystone, which is basically fucking the retailers. It's like,
yeah,
retailers have to pay the shipping for the stuff to come to them. That's built into your prices. And retailers right now, if you're not marking things at nothing less than 2.5, you need to start, because your shipping is part of the cost of goods. But the fact that you do yours a little bit higher is extremely respectful, and I love that so much, because that is not the standard practice, and it is a problem.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that as well. And I want people, I'm like, sell them at $14.99, like make that bigger margin. That's what I sell them at. And I sell a shit ton of them at that price point. Like give it a try. And yeah. And I think if I got them made in China, like I've actually ordered samples from China, like I can pull the trigger and get them manufactured overseas if I want to, but I don't want to sit on 2,000 of one SKU. And I think part of the thing that is kind of like the secret sauce of my brand is that because everything's made in-house here in the US, like we can pivot really quickly and we can make a lot of different stuff because I'm just sitting on the raw materials. I'm not sitting on, 2,000 of happy fucking birthday.
I'm sitting on 1,000, actually 1,500 retail canvas bags. So I get it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, for me, it's like, it was an investment, but it definitely, I'm sitting on 1,500 canvas bags. It's like, Jesus, like, but it was worth it because it was a great cost, but it's still like, just where do you store that if you have a very small house? And now that we're moving, it's like, where are they going? It's like, but so what else plans do you have on expansion for? Just keep on with the party things. Is there anything up your sleeve for the January shows?
So I'm trying for baby number 2 right now. And because of that, I decided to just like take a break on the shows. So I actually pulled out of the Best of Show showroom after this latest summer show. So January will be like my first time, like not physically being in a showroom. I know I'm kind of freaked out, but I do so much business on Fair. And I was also just noticing, like, I'd be at the show and I would just see so many retailers that already ordered from me. And I'd be like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, hey, oh, don't worry. We're going to order from you next week on Fair, during like the Fair sale or whatever. And I'm like, okay, like that's fine. So I had like a list and I was like, who did I say hi to? And I had a list of a lot of retailers, like over 20 retailers that I said hi to. They didn't place an order in my booth, but they did place an order online. And I was like, this is a very expensive way to just like say hi to people.
That's a good way. That's a good thing. I mean, I think that the reps, I mean, for the rep groups that do a really good job and really cater their retailers and really take your product out on the road. I mean, that's a big part of it is that the reps taking it out on the road for like, Stephen Young and Fine Lines that have, I don't even know how many reps they have, but they have foot indoors of like everywhere. And it's like to be able to, I want to sell this store and you may or may not have a connection with them. Rep groups are incredibly good about that. I
think maybe that's like my next venture is doing rep groups where I don't necessarily have to be at the show.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, like if everything goes according to plan, then I would have to do, more trade shows pregnant. And I don't want to do that again. So I think maybe like seeing what reps can do for me, but I'm just not willing to like turn off zip codes or turn off states on Fair right now for reps because I'm just like, you want to not.
It's definitely a challenge that the industry is having right now. It for sure.
I know.
Some rep groups have worked around it, and some won't work with you if you're on Fair. And I understand both sides of it because it's it's just another avenue for people to shop from. But I was interested about that, like how that was going. But I know you're really busy and I know we've gone into an hour. I want to ask you the 2 final questions. As you're super creative, obviously, where do you go and find inspiration?
Ooh, it kind of just comes down to like, I guess I'm sort of like my ideal customer. So a lot of the time it's like, well, what do I like? What would I wear? What would I gift to somebody? So that's just kind of like where I get a lot of inspiration is just kind of what's trending and, is it pink? Is it sparkly? Is it fun? Is it going to make life more festive and fun? And yeah, I just get inspiration like all the time. Literally, sometimes I just get like a vision in my head. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like I'll just like have an idea and I'll just like, and I'll make it.
I love it. And then your best piece of advice to maybe somebody that has an Etsy shop, is thinking about, venturing in, dipping their toe into wholesale. What is your best piece of advice for them?
Ooh, let me, I think like with wholesale right now, it's wholesale kind of like the Wild West too, in regards to fair. And there's never really been an online ordering platform until just, recently. And it was really the pandemic that really changed the behavior of retailers going from shows to rather like ordering online. So I think for wholesale, like there's so much opportunity to have a wholesale business and grow a wholesale business from your couch using your computer. And I feel like I really hit the ground running doing shows and doing shows like back to back to back to back to back. It got me like a lot of momentum. And so now I'm kind of interested to see like, well, what can I do with that momentum that I've gained? What can I do literally from my couch? And so even if you're thinking of getting into wholesale and you don't have the money to like attend a trade show because they're thousands and thousands of dollars, there's still just like so much that can be done from just emailing and internet research and DMing stores and interacting with stores on Instagram and, just even going on Yelp. Like one time I went on Yelp and I was like, I want to see like, what are the high end party stores in San Francisco? Give me a list. And because just kind of doing research that way, like there's just so much that can be done without having to physically go to a show.
Now you can just do everything AI, because let me tell you, that is going to change the world. Like I saw somebody on that talked about how much you could do with AI and putting verbalization in, how much it's going to help. I mean, because AI freaks me out. I get on AI in a GP chat. I'm like, I have no idea what to ask it. But Crystal Media really talked a lot about how AI, and that's one of the things that it can do is like literally it's like a personal assistant.
Yeah, I've leveraged AI like a little bit with like writing product descriptions and whatnot. I actually had AI write my latest job posting for someone that I needed to hire, and it knocked it out of the park. I was like, write a job posting in like a fun and energetic voice, and this is what the position's going to be about. And it was like perfect.
That's fantastic. She said, she goes, I always say please and thank you, because she goes, one day the robots are going to take over the world, so you might as well be polite.
That's so funny. I will do that now as well.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited for people to hear your story and go and find you. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram. It's festive.gal. You can find me on TikTok. Same thing. Festive. I've got a period in there. Festive.gal. My Shopify website is festivegal.com. And I do not have all my products uploaded on my Shopify website whatsoever. So a lot more of my like products that I sell direct to consumer right now are on Etsy, which is also called Festive Gal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.